Welcome to the College of Arts and Sciences virtual 3-minute thesis competition. My name is Melissa Parkhurst. I'm an associate professor of ethnomusicology in the WSU School of Music, and I will be your MC today for the 3-minute thesis competition. Could you please take a moment to silence your phones? Now first, a brief overview of 3-minute thesis. 3-minute thesis, or 3MT as it's called for short, is a research communication competition developed by the University of Queensland in Brisbane, Australia. PhD competitors must present a compelling oration of their thesis and its significance. To throw a wrench into things, the competitors have 3 minutes and not a second more to share their thesis. In 3MT, if the competitors keep talking, they are disqualified, and a 3-minute countdown timer will be displayed on each competition slide. If a technical complication happens during the competition, due to no fault of the competitor, the person will be allowed to restart. 3MT is not an exercise in dumbing down research, but challenges students to consolidate their ideas and their research discoveries so they can be presented to a non-specialist audience. The first place winner of today's competition will receive a $1,000 award. The second place winner will receive a $750 award, and the third place winner will receive a $500 award. Perhaps even more important, the winner from today's competition will represent the College of Arts and Sciences at the University 3MT event, which will be held on March 25th, 2026 at 1 p.m. in the Veterinary and Biomedical Research Building, VBRB, room 305. The winners from each college will compete for prizes that are a lot higher. The winner receives $3,000, second place, $1,500, and $500 for third place. More on the 3-minute thesis can be found at 3mt.wsu.edu. Now, it's time to meet the judges and then the competitors. Thank you to each of the following for being judges today. Dr. Blythe Duell is a scholarly professor in the Department of Psychology at Washington State University. She regularly teaches human sexuality, psychology of gender, degrees and careers in psychology, and techniques in stress management and mindfulness. Her secondary area of emphasis is career development in undergraduate students. Dr. Duell has been teaching at WSU since 2018, where she has received a number of awards, including the 2023 Award for Excellence in Teaching a Large Class and the President's Distinguished Teaching Award for Career Track Faculty in 2025. Dr. Paul Buckley is a scholarly professor in the Department of Chemistry, where he teaches in the General Chemistry program and serves as the Director of Undergraduate Studies. His service activities include Faculty Senate, the Academic Affairs Committee, and Faculty Director for the Student Book Corporation. He is also chair of the local section of the American Chemical Society, engaging in outreach activities to the community, such as the annual Chemical Olympiad held recently at WSU for Pullman and Moscow high school students, and events at the Palouse Discovery Science Center. Dr. Kate Watts is professor of English at Washington State University, where she teaches courses in composition, rhetoric, and English education. Her work focuses on language awareness, teacher preparation, and helping students develop confidence in their analytical and written communication. In addition to her classroom teaching, she serves as UCORE director, supporting curriculum development and assessment initiatives across WSU. She also chairs the Teaching Academy, which supports student-centered and research-based practices throughout the WSU system. She works to make linguistic knowledge accessible, reflective, and rhetorically grounded. Through her teaching and service, she seeks to cultivate thoughtful educators and writers who approach language both as a system and as a living practice. The judges will give the scores based on comprehension and content, as well as engagement and communication. After the 6 competitors are finished, the scores will be collected and tallied. The average for each will give us a clear winner. In the case of an apparent tie, the highest score in the comprehension and content section will be the winner. The decision of this adjudicating panel will be final. And now for your competitors listed in the randomized order that they will present. Please hold your applause until the end. Sarah Farahani, Department of Chemistry. Borhan, Department of Mathematics and Statistics. McKinley Nevins, School of Biological Sciences. Shamila Gopalakrishnan, Department of Chemistry. Safiya Hafiz, Department of Sociology. And Joseph Akowuah, School of Politics, Philosophy, and Public Affairs. After all the competitors are finished and the judging is complete, and as we have the results, I'll announce the winners. Now, without further ado, I turn it over to the competitors, starting with Sarah Farahani, whose presentation is titled Applications of 3D Printing Towards the Fabrication of a Fully 3D Printed Electrochemical Setup.
Good afternoon. Imagine needing a simple medical test, a glucose test, a diagnostic strip, but there is no laboratory, there is no equipment, and there is no medical devices affordable near for you to use. For millions of people around the world, this is not hypothetical. This is the reality of their life. And the problem is not lack of medical knowledge. The problem is access. Commercially available sensors are expensive, require complex manufacturing, and depend on centralized fabrication. They are fragile, bulky, and it's difficult to distribute them in low resources areas. My research addresses this gap. I use 3D printing as an additive manufacturing technique, and I combine it with electrochemistry to fabricate a fully 3D printed electrochemical sensing system, a complete diagnostic device that can be fabricated rapidly, affordably, and locally. Instead of combining multiple complex components that are expensive and commercially available, I use 3D printing to fabricate the functional component of my sensors, miniaturize them, customize them, and insert them into any micro and mini chips according to a patient's need. Why this is important? Because 3D printing is reducing the cost dramatically. Commercially available sensors are at least $100 each, and except for 1 or 2, not only their analytical performance is not reliable, but they are fragile, bulky, require a lot of biological fluids for the test to be run, and sophisticated people. My research, however, in my 3D printed systems, they are miniaturized, and they only cost me 4 cents. And they have shown improved analytical performance in compared to what we buy from a store. I can fabricate 100 of them in less than an hour. So mass fabrication is easily provided. The steps taken toward the completion of these projects have led me to 4 publications and 1 provisional patent. But the real impact is not technical success. The real impact is that 3D printed sensors are creating a path toward the mass-produced, portable, and low-cost diagnostic devices. This means a rural clinic can fabricate their own sensors. An on-site hospital can have replacements on demand. Developing countries can have access to diagnostic devices without requiring to depend on expensive supply chains. This is not about innovation anymore. This is about equity, access, and resorting dignity. By rethinking how we are manufacturing our sensors, we are moving from centralized fabrication to a more distributed and accessible fabrication. And that shift has the power to change global health. And I'm really proud to be part of that change. Thank you.
Our next contestant is Borhan, who will present on When Being Right Isn't Fair, Rethinking Artificial Intelligence.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Imagine two patients that are walking into a hospital, right? So one patient is a male and another patient is a female. So both patients actually show different symptoms of cardiovascular diseases. Now here's the problem. Imagine that that particular hospital has an AI system in place to help doctors to diagnose that particular cardiovascular disease. Now we know that male and female patients had different symptoms of cardiovascular diseases. Historically, most of the studies on cardiovascular diseases are studied on men. So we have historically biased data sets. If that AI system is actually trained on those historically biased data sets, that AI system is inherently biased. It may show overall accuracy, let's say 95%, but it may show disparate or non-equitable treatment to different groups. Let's say for the male patient, it may show 98% accuracy. For the female patients, it could show 85% accuracy. So what that means? It means that AI system is actually overall very accurate, but it's not fair. My research actually systematically studied this trade-off between accuracy and the fairness. We actually designed a very broad experiment with different factors. We call it factorial experiment. So we have different factors such as different sources of biases in the data sets, different levels of bias, access to the protected attribute. What is a protected attribute? It could be gender, it could be race, or other sensitive attributes. Or if they have intervention to make the model fair or not. What we found out? We found out that there is a trade-off, a tug of war between accuracy and the fairness. If we aim to optimize the algorithm to be more accurate, it loses fairness. If we intervene to make the model fairer, it is less accurate. So there is a tension between accuracy and the fairness. So the real question begins, can we make a model, a system that is both accurate and fair? Can I do that? That's my research. We're actually working on building statistical methods that actually focuses to build like a balance between accuracy and the fairness. Because in different sectors, for example, healthcare, criminal justice, finance, fairness in AI system is not a technical issue. It's actually a matter of trust, it's a matter of responsibility, it's a matter of human impact. Thank you very much.
Up next, McKinley Nevins, whose presentation is titled Integrating Above and Below Ground Perspectives to Understand the Drivers of Tree Demography in the Northwestern United States.
Thank you. I'm sure we've all felt the benefits of a walk through a forest. Forests provide clean air and water, support beautiful biodiversity of plants and animals, and provide spiritual, cultural, and recreational benefits to humans. However, forests are also being increasingly threatened by global change and disturbances like drought and wildfire. And in the Northwestern United States, where we all live, environmental conditions are stressing and killing more of our trees than ever before. This is a very concerning trend, and it makes it all the more important for us to understand what factors are driving tree survival and growth. So trees rely on essential resources of water, nutrients, and sunlight. And in order to be able to grow and survive, trees have to be very good at acquiring these resources. But of course, trees are not growing in a vacuum. They're existing in the abiotic context of their environment, including temperature, precipitation, and soil properties, as well as the biotic interactions that can influence their ability to acquire resources necessary for their survival and growth. And so my research has looked at both the above ground and below ground realm. So in the above ground, plants are engaging in plant-plant interactions that can have either good neighbors that can help them acquire resources, or bad neighbors that can increase competition for limited resources. And I'm sure we've all had interactions like this, the good neighbor that will bring you cookies, or the bad neighbor that might steal your Amazon package. And so we know from previous studies that both these abiotic conditions and plant-plant interactions can affect tree survival and growth. But there's a whole below-ground world that is much less studied, and that's where my research comes in. Because nearly every plant on Earth associates with mycorrhizal fungi, and these are microscopic organisms that grow in and on plant roots. And these fungi can extend their tendrils into the soil and can help their host plant acquire resources necessary for their survival and growth. And so my research has found factors in both the above and below ground context that are affecting tree survival and growth. And specifically, abiotic and biotic factors that are affecting this in different ways. So for example, a tree that's growing under drought conditions may survive better when it has more helpful neighbors, but it may grow slower as a consequence. And overall, these positive interactions of good plant neighbors and helpful fungi can help alleviate some of that environmental stress and can help trees still access resources necessary to support their survival and growth. And so overall, my results are really essential because they're demonstrating that we need to be considering both the above and below ground context if we want to be understanding and predicting how forests are going to respond to future environmental change, and what that change is going to mean for all of those important benefits of forests that are so essential to human society. Thank you.
For our next contestant, we have Shamila Gopalakrishnan, who will present on Track, Target, Treat, Ovarian Cancer.
Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you got a chemotherapy and the drug that can treat ovarian cancer. But it also can harmful for healthy organs, immune system, and all over the body. And think that you wake up in the morning and you saw your mom or your daughter having a vaginal bleeding, or your partner lost the ability to carry your own child. Isn't it pathetic? It's not the real story. Actually, the women out there having ovarian cancer having a lot of side effects. So this is not the problem of the treatment. We have current treatment like surgery, radiotherapy, chemotherapy. But the problem is not the treatment, not the drugs. It's about the drugs, where to go. So currently, we are giving the drugs to the body, and the patients are taking it. It travels all over the places, but it affects the cancer cells. But remember, it affects the healthy organs, and it brings whole toxicity and also leads for their extreme, enormous side effects. Why? The drugs, they don't know where to go. Here in US, everybody has a car, right? So I need a favor from you. I'm gonna give a package, take it, please deliver it. But you're gonna look at the package and there is no address. Where would it go? Nowhere, probably wrong address. So this is the place where my research comes in. If we have a GPS coordinating the drugs, it's gonna reach exact target, right? So what I'm doing is I'm developing a nano carrier which has drugs, but the real science is, the innovation is outside the surface. We are tagging with the GPS tracker. We are tagging with an address, so it's gonna reach the exact ovarian cancer. So here, we recently found a medication. We didn't do any surgery. We just injected, and it travels all over the body. And guess what? It reaches exactly the ovarian cancer region, not harmful for any other healthy organs. So track, target, treat ovarian cancer. The novel treatment of cancer is not about the treatment, it's about smart delivery. So let's treat unmet medical needs with Triple T magic content with me. Thank you.
Up next is Safiya Hafiz, whose presentation is titled Justice by Geography, Examining the Variance in Juvenile Justice System Processing and Outcomes Across Washington State.
Hello, my name is Safiya Hafiz, and I'm a PhD candidate in the Department of Sociology. Now, the field of sociology is really interested in the study of inequality, and today I'm here to introduce to you a type of inequality known as justice by geography. Justice by geography is the idea that people, or actually because I studied the juvenile justice system, youth with really similar characteristics are sentenced differently depending on where they're sentenced. This means that if I took the same case and I put it in a different county, I might see a different outcome. And as you can see from this chart here, the darker red colors represent counties that treat youth more leniently by diverting a larger percentage of youth. You can see that somewhere like King County diverts a lot of youth, whereas somewhere like Whatcom County diverts a smaller percentage of youth. When youth are treated unnecessarily harshly by the justice system, we start to see negative outcomes like kids continuing to engage in criminal behavior and the growth of mass incarceration. That's why it's important to understand what explains why kids receive different outcomes across place, and I want to see if politics is that explanation, given that politics are really about allocating resources, right? Like who gets what? I hypothesize that politics determine whether the resources for treating youth more leniently are made available. Now, past research on political context really focuses on the role of the Conservative Party in increasing the use of jail and prison, but historically, both parties have had major tough on crime initiatives, from George H.W. Bush's Law and Order presidency to Bill Clinton's passing of the 1994 crime bill, sponsored by Joe Biden, both which increase serious punishment for offenders. So I want to look beyond just party politics and see if other factors like civic engagement, spending for social service initiatives, or the role of political competition and how they shape outcomes for youth across place. Now, to conduct this analysis, I really need to look at two layers of data. First, factors about the individual case affect the outcome, right? Like how serious the case was. But also, the politics of the county affect how youth are sentenced. Thus, I need to use a statistical technique known as multi-level modeling, which accounts for both the individual context and the county context at the same time. In other words, if my dissertation was a piece of cake, which it's totally not, it'd be a two-layer cake. The project is also multi-method. So if you can imagine that top layer of my cake is about county context and that bottom layer is about individual context, well, the frosting connecting the two layers are the people who work in courtrooms who make decisions about youth cases while being influenced by their county context. Thus, I conduct open interviews with people who work in courtrooms about their decision-making to make this dissertation a well-rounded approach to understanding how politics creates inequality for youth across place and contributes to mass incarceration. Thank you.
For our final contestant, we have Joseph Akowuah, who will present on electoral fraud, regionalism, and the mobilization of opposition violence in Africa.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Let's consider two scenarios. Scenario one, we all playing board games. Then someone says, hey, you cheated. Then another person says, let's check the rules. Scenario two, we playing board games. Someone says, you cheated. Then another person just flips the board game. Someone throws the first punch, and people start fighting. You see how bad that is? It happens in elections too. You have two political parties, both alleging fraud. One goes to court, the other uses mass violence. My research wants to understand why. I argue that to understand these dynamics, we have to pay attention to the concept called regionalism. Regionalism is simply the extent to which political parties draw support from specific parts of the country or across the country. So high regionalism means that political parties draw support from specific parts of the country. Low regionalism means that they draw their support across the country. My central argument is that high regionalism plus the presence of allegations of elections fraud is a very, very bad spot for countries to be in. And the reason is that when political support is concentrated, people who feel cheated live close to each other, they know each other, and they share the same grievance. That makes it very easy to coordinate, organize, and mobilize violence against incumbent supporters and against the state. I tested this theory using 2 case studies in Africa where the opposition leaders alleged violence: Nigeria's 2011 elections and Ghana's 2012 elections. In Nigeria, politics is ordered along the north-south regional line. When Nigeria's opposition leader alleged fraud, his supporters were not scattered across the country. They were concentrated in the north. It made it very easy for them to mobilize violence against incumbent supporters. In fact, the evidence shows that they literally text each other to mount blockades and attack incumbent supporters. In just 24 hours, over 800 people died. Let's contrast this with Ghana. In Ghana, politics is ordered along across the country. So opposition leaders alleged fraud, but because their support was scattered across the country, it was very difficult to conceive of violence or even use violence because your next door neighbor, whom you love so much, is probably from the other party, so you don't want to hurt them. At the end of the day, Ghana's opposition went to court and refused to use violence. Why is this research important? Well, if we understand the role that regionalism has on our elections, you and I can help our policymakers to design policies that would reduce election violence in high regionalism countries. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all our competitors. That was fantastic. We will now allow our judges a few minutes to compile the scores, and after a short intermission, we will be back to announce the winners. A big thank you again to our judges and to the College of Arts and Sciences for administering this event. Competitors, immediately following the event, we ask that you stay for photographs to be taken. I will now announce the 3rd place winner and recipient of a $500 award. Our 3rd place winner is Borhan. I will now announce the 2nd place winner, who receives a $750 award. Our 2nd place winner is McKinley Nevins. And now the winner of the competition will not only receive a $1,000 award, but will also represent the College of Arts and Sciences on March 25th at the university level 3MT competition. For the College of Arts and Sciences, the winner of the 3-minute thesis competition is Safiya Hafiz. Thank you all for coming. This concludes the event. Competitors, please stick around for photos. Thank you so much.